I'm from Somalia. My birthday in January 1, 1997. I come to Ethiopia. I have 3 years old. And then my mom and dad. Then my mom is United States camp. Then I go to a refuge and my mom.
Welcome to Happiness and the City. Today we'll focus our reflections on a very important topic, and that is decorations. The topic of decorations is vital in this atmosphere in which people, for some reason, decided to strip other people or each other from decorations and created an atmosphere of blame, guilt assignment, blame, distraction. So decorations is a form of praise. I brought a few decorations here that represent Christmas season, Christmas holidays, the birth of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, and they create festive atmosphere. We have to understand the power of decorations to create perceptions of loving appreciation. So what is missing today in America, but also generally in the world, is spirit of appreciation, of joy from other person's achievements, and looking forward for somebody to recognize our achievement. So I looked at the internet, and there's that many definitions of what decorations are, and I wanted to focus on a few topics from from Wiki Encyclopedia, Wikipedia. Sometimes it's easy to confuse the two, from Wikipedia. By the way, WikiLeaks is a wonderful organization, but it also has that problem, guilt assignment, fault finding. Doesn't find stories that are not published that would appreciate and decorate someone's achievement, that would focus on the positive aspect of what we do. So maybe my mention of this wonderful organization is not that coincidental. We have this a lot in today's speech, this very strange way in which people not only don't want to assign decorations to each other today, but they would try to strip decorations from past generations that were created under completely different circumstances, and that creates emptiness, vacuum. And in that kind of vacuum, people tend to withdraw from interaction from each other. That is the real reason for so much depression and so much disconnection. So we have to start paying attention to this topic. Now we have Christmas decorations and people rejoice. This is pleasant to the eyes, pleasant to the vision, whether you are Christian or not. It is about plants and trees and shiny, beautiful ornaments. So this is a purpose that brings joy to our eyes. And our eyes need joy too, because if we only look at sad things, bad things, focus on bad things, the vision crashes. And we have that situation in Hollywood so many people attacked Hollywood, so much blame was assigned, and now there are horrible fires that brought bad luck. A form of punishment that now is destroying totally innocent people who had nothing to do with any blame. So social blame assignment is very dangerous because it creates atmosphere in which entire groups of people are affected by it, even if they have nothing to do with whatever the original complaint was. So praise and decorating is opposite to this. Complaint destroys. Praise would put an order or decoration of achievement on a person. We have that very commonly accepted in Olympic Games. When somebody gets the first place, second, third place, they get medals. They get decorated and recognized for the achievement. Can you imagine if somebody was in a skate competition at Olympic Games and got the first place, and then somebody would come in and say, instead of giving you the medal of achievement, I will complain about you and say that it was just not fair that you got the first place because someone else could have gotten. We would have been shaken in an inner sense of order that expects achievement to be recognized. I have in my own life experienced many situations in which my achievement was not recognized and it was assigned to other people. So I'm very sensitive on that issue, and in fact I am praying to God for a Christmas miracle on that topic. The most vicious one was when I was in my final exam at MIT, just about ready to do my dissertation, and a professor who was angry I didn't want him to be my advisor, in anger gave me an F in one part of the exam that failed the whole exam. After this, I prayed to God and said, what should I do? And God said to me in prayer that He was going to lead me in ways in which my F from that PhD exam would become extremely praised and famous. And now we have the great Facebook, the great F. And each time I get on Facebook, I laugh. So I forgave MIT and my then professor for that big lie in which he decided to give me blame rather than praise, decoration with a good grade. And I think the whole mankind is having a good time with a big F. And I think that in order to regain sense of order and peace in our lives, we have to develop vision and perceptions of our current decorations and praise, but also to respect the past generations, because we were not in their shoes. We do not know exactly what they had to go through to achieve certain wonderful things or to do heroic things. So we have to be very cautious in stripping those generations from their achievement. We should have wisdom in our attitudes about those things. Another topic connected with decoration is about buildings within the context of cities. When you look at Louvre, which is a royal palace, royal castle in Paris that was built by many generations, but especially developed by King Louis XIV. When you look at that amazing achievement of decoration, you are in awe. And in fact, one of the friends was periscoping and decided to do some scopes from Louvre. I looked at them, and that was such an amazing experience. I felt something awesome woke up in my architectural imagination, and now I really appreciate that amazing achievement. And I think that instead of wasting our energies on blaming and tearing to pieces, we should focus on forgiving and improving the presence of beauty in our lives and good things in our lives. And we should focus on decorating, not destroying. And I think that is so powerful that it will also have an effect on natural law and on nature. And nature would be in harmony with this desire of beauty and wake up beauty within itself. And that would help harmonize not only our relationship with our environments, but it will also provide a lot of strength and life and love within us. So I think that we should focus on that decoration of buildings, decoration of cities. That energy would not only create a lot of jobs, but also make our lives more pleasant. So I would direct us not to go into blaming and distraction, but go into the way of decorating, praising, and building of beautiful things, creating better connections between people, creating circumstances in which beautiful speech can replace a lot of that very hateful, blaming speech. Those things demand effort, and they demand planning, and then they demand focus. But this is a better focus because it creates beauty, and the focus on distraction and blaming doesn't bring any good to anyone. It starts spiral of rage and distraction that eventually destroys everybody involved in those blaming actions. Now, there are certain situations in which it is important to understand that justice is essential to solve a certain problem. I understand that this has to be created in ways that differentiates between system of justice that deals with certain conflicts and requires judges to find resolution to those conflicts. That is very important. But what I'm talking about is a sense of social justice that became so focused on blame that it started destroying society. So the alternative to this, or antidote to this, is social praise, social decoration of our lives, fashions, splendid buildings, learning to use more poetry in our speech, creating beautiful speech, teaching young generations beautiful speech, teaching people how to be compassionate and how to persevere through all kinds of bad things that happen to them, and to have discipline within lives, but also to have a sense of righteousness, and to know that if someone deserved praise and an order of achievement, that person shouldn't be blamed and stripped of it. So this is a conversation that is not happening, but it's very important. I'm starting this conversation because I'd rather focus on beauty and thinking how to decorate our lives and how to make our lives enhanced by beauty. I'd rather focus on that than on violence and this very nasty accusations about all kinds of things that frankly I didn't even know existed. But if that kind of blame doesn't concern society as such, we should focus on how to improve life and how to create circumstances of forgiveness. Because we are all in a situation which often we cannot do what we want. We have to put up with all kinds of limits and do the best thing we can. Sometimes it's a choice between two evils, which way to choose, this way or that way. Either one is not good, but sometimes we have no choice of good way, and that's when that focus on creating ways of goodness would come in very useful. Another topic connected with decoration is connected with names. And this is a very serious topic because the young generation of people on earth does not have a very strong sense of family. I come from a generation which family name, family property, family houses, members of the family were extremely important. I was very lucky to learn this when I was growing up, and till this day it is a source of strength. People who don't have that grounding in their family bloodlines end up developing orphan syndromes, and orphan syndromes create different needs. Now, there are people who really truly are orphans and they need social support to survive. But this particular orphan syndrome I'm talking about, it concerns people who actually have biological families and houses and properties, but are disconnected from them. So their heart and their identity start reacting as if they were orphans, but they aren't. So in order to strengthen family name, the names of families were encouraged to be decorated, either with titles or with all kinds of nicknames or with stories connected to those family names. And the praise that would be given to a family name was considered very important, because even if there were some family members who were not that good, the name of the family as a whole would compensate for that. So when I was growing up, we were taught to praise our family names, but also our neighbors, to talk about our neighbors in an affectionate, good, praising, decorative way. And that created very affectionate relationships between neighbors and between family members too. I will give you an example. I had an uncle who was a drunk, and all people in my family said, don't you ever call him a drunk. They would say, pray for your uncle. Make sure that he gets help. Make sure that no one destroys him when he's unconscious. So the attitude was to compensate by strengthening the general connection between family members, and that was considered very important and life-giving. And also, it didn't mean that the family name was affected by it. He was just one of the members who was not that lucky and needed help and needed emotional support. Today, when we are dealing with even large organizations, we have the orphan syndrome happening. In NBC, Today Show, one of my favorite shows, one of the journalists, very famous reporter, Matt Lauer, got into a lot of trouble with his ex-girlfriends, and he was accused of all kinds of things. And as soon as someone decided to make it public, he lost everything. And I lost one of my favorite reporters, so I'm suffering unjustly because of what was perceived as a cause for punishment. But this reporter has huge achievements. So just because he got into trouble with romantic things doesn't mean that suddenly he should be stripped of everything amazing he has done, and then his audience got forced not to ever see him, which is affecting a lot of people negatively. Many people miss him, many people got used to him and his presence and his joyful and very uplifting behavior. So restoration of a sense of praise and decoration would also help us to stop that cycle of orphanism within families and organizations in which one person gets disconnected from everybody else, and then everybody else destroys the whole organization. That is very unhealthy. So I think that what I will be asking God this Christmas season is to restore within us a sense of balance between achievement, between mistakes and achievement, and to restore within us a sense of family belonging, a sense of pride from family names, from family bloodlines and connections, a sense of pride in our neighbors' family bloodlines and connections, and in the bloodlines and connections of the whole nation, of America, Poland, Russia, many other nations that are very grounded in heritage. And I think that that would create within us a sense of affection and belonging and welcoming, because a family member is welcomed by other family members. It's natural law. That's just the way it is. An orphan who loses family members is in a tragic situation and has to be welcomed and accepted by strangers. And if those strangers start behaving as orphans themselves, then there is no hope, because then this disconnection and this pain gets created in society, and people don't know how to connect within each other through natural affection that only God can give us, and through appreciation of each other's lives and histories of our lives. So I encourage you also to focus on those praising things in our lives, to become creative, to start inventing beautiful clothing and interior decoration and city decoration, speech decoration. And I think that when we focus our attention on that, we will regain right to connect. Because right to connect comes from natural law. We are born, we have a right to connect to our natural family. Our natural family has a right to connect to us. And of course, this becomes even more powerful for people who recognize God as Father, because then we are part of divine family. And I think that this Christmas season, we need to regain that right to connect beautifully with decorative magnificence, the right to decorate our histories, to focus on achievement, and to put bad things and blaming things in the perspective that would not destroy all the goodness and all the beauty and love and wonder of the whole. So thank you so much for your attention, and I'll be looking forward to seeing your great decorative creativity this season and throughout the whole year.